Ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to the Packernet Podcast. I am your host and resident panelist, as always, Ryan Schlip. Check us out online, packernet.com. Find me on Twitter, pack_data. The goal for today, at least to begin with, I'm guessing it won't take the whole time, I want to do a recap. Just a quick summary of how the first 3 days of camp have gone, and then we'll see where that leads us. There's a lot of chatter going on, and we'll see where this leads when we get there. But I know a lot of people. There's a thing going around. Preseason stats are stupid. It depends. I generally disagree. It's stupid in the sense of treating them like you would in the regular season. But I do like to track how people are doing, and I think outside of stats, all we have are kind of like vibes, which honestly is the reason why I want to go back and look at the cumulative results over 3 days, is to look at each individual instance, put them together, and provide sort of statistics to say this is how good or bad a person has done, as opposed to kind of just after 3 days thinking back and going, I kind of feel like so-and-so's having a good day, but I can't really remember. You know what I mean? So I am pro stats, again, from the standpoint of trying to contextualize how it's going for everybody. I understand it's different, and quarterbacks throw more interceptions and all that kind of stuff. But if none of this means anything, then what are we doing? If we just reduce everything down to it doesn't matter, then why are we even showing up to practice? You know what I'm saying? And if these things do matter, then tracking them would make sense. Does that make sense? I think it does. Plus, again, as I assume you're all aware, I like to lean on AI, and this is an area where it can help me immensely. I've been doing this for years. Every year, I track the stats of these, and the amount of time it takes is not fun. It's also hard to do. You know, I mean, if you've been with me for a while, you know it gets kind of wonky when I go back through the grades because you're talking about two people at the same, like, when is it a quarterback stat or wide receiver? When do I talk? It's just, and it's hours of putting all this stuff. I don't have to do any of that anymore because I have a robot transcribe all my podcasts, and then I feed that to the AI, and it puts together a comprehensive report for me, which we're going to go through now. It's wonderful. All right, so here's what we got. Training camp days 1 through 3, encompassing the 23rd, 24th, and 25th. Today, for me, Saturday, is a day off, so there's no recap of what happened, although they should be back tomorrow, I think. I think it's 3 days on, 1 day off, and they do that for quite a while. So I'm not going to go back and check the schedule because that's just kind of what it is for now. I'm also going to do it right now so I don't forget. I'm going to put these notes on Patreon. So anybody interested, head over to Patreon. Again, you can join. You can join for free. I rarely do stuff, and if I do it, it's going to be for the paid people. If I did it regular enough, there'd be some free stuff, but there isn't a ton. But you can join for as little as $1 a month, and it helps out a ton. $1 doesn't seem like much, but there are a lot of people listening. So if everybody does it, obviously, small amount from you, life-changing for me. Just throwing it out there. By the way, since I'm here, Jeff, welcome. I know it's a free tier, but I appreciate you being there anyways. Did I say thank you to Joyce? I feel like I did, but if I didn't, Joyce, you're amazing. Huge fan. Appreciate your support always and forever. And then Roger upgraded the membership from the Robert Brooks tier to the Loki tier. Didn't even know we had a Loki tier, but there was a period of time where people wanted to put in like a custom amount, and I was like, well, you can create a custom, if you want, you can have your own tier by creating your own custom amounts. You can say, I want my own tier, so make it like $7.49 a month or something. I'm like, okay, that's fine. And you can name it whatever you want. That must be what the Loki tier is, although I don't know. But thank you guys for your support. All right. Practices through the first 3 days have all been non-padded so far, emphasizing walkthroughs, individual drills, 7-on-7, 11-on-11 red zone work, and 2-minute drills. The defense has shown early dominance, winning 2 of the 3 days, while the offense has built momentum in red zone situations. Key themes include offensive line rotation, rookie integration, for example, Matthew Golden and Jordan Morgan, although he's not a rookie anymore, and strong special teams from Brandon McManus. Attendance has been high, and shareholder meeting I'm not reading that. They had the shareholder meeting on day 3. Day 1 on the 23rd, the offense was focused on red zone work and did quite well. The practice went 72 minutes, heavy goal line and red zone emphasis. Some of the key plays, Jordan Love threw 4 touchdowns. The touchdowns went to running back Chris Brooks, wide receiver Romeo Doubs, running back Josh Jacobs, and tight end Messiah Swinson. Interesting that only 1 touchdown went to a wide receiver. Quarterback Malik Willis threw 2 touchdowns, 1 to Matthew Golden and 1 to Mecole Hardman. Sean Clifford threw 1 touchdown to Lumpkin. Some of the standouts, according to reports, wide receiver Matthew Golden for his touchdown and his smooth routes. Tight end Tucker Kraft with his leaping grabs. Marshawn Lloyd, big bounce run to the outside. Xavier McKinney with a jump ball interception. Some of the struggles, the running early on, as well as cornerback Javon Bullard beaten on a slant route, I guess if that's the worst of your day. Special teams, McManus was 6 for 6, hitting from 33, 38, 41, 43, 38, 46. Daniel Whalen just booming the crap out of the ball. On day 2, the practice went for 1 hour and 54 minutes. Team drills and 2-minute focus. Defense went 3-0 in 2 minutes. Offense ended up doing push-ups on that. There were 0 offensive touchdowns, only a defensive pick 6. Key plays. Quarterback Jordan Love threaded passes. Mecole Hardman, big game. Underthrew some deep shots, though. Malik Willis, tipped pass, interception by Carrington Valentine. Nice gains, but coverage sacks. Quarterback QB3, whoever it was, threw a pick to Omar Brown. Standout players, Carrington Valentine with a pick 6, Lucas Van Ness with multiple pressures, Matthew Golden, big run after the catch after a bunch of jukes. Still have not seen a video of that. I was looking all over hoping somebody caught a video of it. I didn't find it. Cornerback Bo Melton with a pass breakup against Savion Williams, and Javon Bullard with a pass breakup. Some of the struggles, Aaron Banks gets a tweak, which we learned is a back injury. Muffed punts from Golden, Wicks, and Reed. No touchdowns. Day 3, defense wins again. The practice was packed because it's shareholder meeting day. 2-minute red zone drill. Defense won. A lot of motion plays to Golden in particular. Some key plays. 49-yard touchdown bomb from Love to Dontavian Wicks. Multiple passes to wide receiver Romeo Doubs, including a 19-yard sliding catch. Willis with a deep interception to Valentine. Nice gains, but near picks. Clifford drove for a field goal win in 2 minutes. Some of the standouts, Romeo Doubs, multiple big catches. Dontavian Wicks, fantastic separation and his 49-yard touchdown. Edge rusher Lucas Van Ness with a coverage sack. Cornerback Carrington Valentine, his second interception in camp. Xavier McKinney, pass breakup and a fumble scoop. Brandon McManus, 15 of 15 in camp, 9 of 9 on day 3, including a 56-yarder. Struggles, we had fumbles from Josh Jacobs and Tucker Kraft and drops from Dontavian Wicks. Also, pre-snap issues, Zach Tom jumping off sides and was pulled off the field for doing so. McManus, perfect from 33, 38, 40, 41, 43, 44, 46, 48, 51, 51, and 56. And then, again, we got running back Israel Abanikanda awarded off of waivers, and then had workouts from Zy Alexander and Braylon Sanders. Key changes and trends. Consistent experimentation on the offensive line. Starters, left tackle Rasheed Walker, left guard Aaron Banks, although he did get a tweak on day 2. Center Sean Ryan rotated to right guard Jordan Morgan to left tackle on dates 2 and 3. Right tackle, Zach Tom. Backups, left tackle. It lists Anthony Belton. He seems to be a backup tackle right now. The only time I remember him getting rotated in was to replace Zach Tom at right tackle. I don't know what the exact plan for him is right now. We got to see him come in and actually start to play and get some notes on that before we get some clarity on that. But as best as I can tell, he is playing as a backup tackle. And so far, only right tackle, but we'll see. Left guard has been Travis Glover and Donovan Jennings. Center being Jacob Monk. We've got Morgan cross-training at right guard, left tackle. Ryan and Monk are taking turns at center. Coaches obviously are emphasizing the best 5 mentality. We'll see how that settles in the future. Matthew Golden, heavy motion and end arounds, multiple big gains, integrated with the ones quickly. Dobbs as Love's go-to, consistent chemistry. Wicks' separation is strong, drops are minimal. Heath and Hardman are emerging as touchdown threats. Savion Williams had a nice one-handed grab but had a concussion day 3. At linebacker, Quay Walker out, McDuffie, Cooper are starting. Simmons getting first-team reps, flashing his speed. Tyron Hopper is right now behind all of these guys, but he did have a tipped pass so far in camp already off the edge. Van Ness with pressures and sacks. Brenton Cox doing some first-team walkthroughs. Gary, all the reports have been very strong as far as run defense. Some injury updates. Out/limited. Quay Walker, ankle off of PUP on day 2, doing walkthroughs. Christian Watson, knee rehab. Marshawn Lloyd is back. Elton Jenkins is not back, but has a back injury. Savion with a concussion. Banks, back injury. Micah Robinson, knee, but returned day 2. John Williams, back injury, expected to be a little bit longer. A lot of back injuries. Some of the trends: defense 1, days 2 and 3. Very turnover heavy, 5 turnovers. A good amount of pressures, including from Barron Sorrell and Lucas Van Ness. Offense, very play action strong and a lot of motion with Matthew Golden. Very efficient in the red zone. Special teams, McManus flawless. And then we've got a little bit of a stat sheet put together here. 9 total touchdowns. Love 5 of 9 on his total attempts. He had 4 touchdowns day 1 and an additional touchdown in day 3, which was his 49-yard bomb to Wicks. Interceptions, we had Xavier McKinney on day 1, Valentine on day 2, along with Brown, 2 total picks. Day 3, Valentine again, so he's up to 2 on camp so far. 4 total interceptions. Valentine accounts for 2 of those 4, tipped passes being common. Forced fumbles, we had Bullard popped one out on Tucker Kraft, which was scooped by McKinney. Jacobs also had a fumble recovered by Dobbs, so 2 total fumbles. Sacks and pressures, there have been minimal noted, but Van Ness on day 2 had multiple, as well as Barron Sorrell with a coverage sack. On day 3, Van Ness had a coverage sack. Barron Sorrell also noted as having some good pressures / potential sacks. So Van Ness has been kind of the top guy so far. Barron Sorrell might be number 2 in terms of pressures noted, but again, there haven't been a ton. In total, field goals obviously perfect, 15 of 15. Big plays so far. Marshawn Lloyd, day 1, with a big bounce to the outside. Day 2 was Matthew Golden's big run after the catch. Day 3, Wicks' 39-yard touchdown, as well as a Matthew Golden end around that went for 20+, and then Dobbs' 19-yard sliding catch. Pass breakups, we had Hobbs and Nixon with 1 on day 1, Bullard, Melton, and Hobbs on day 2, Hobbs with 2 on day 3, as well as McKinney, Valentine, and Herring. So it's actually pretty interesting. Hobbs, by far, with 5 pass breakups in 3 days, has a pass breakup every day, including having 2 on day 3. So 5 total. And that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, yeah. Oh, wait, he had 2 on day 2 also. That's crazy. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 pass breakups so far in 3 days, with Hobbs accounting for 5 of them. So, yes, it's early to all that, right? Every caveat that you could possibly put, they don't have pads on, blah, 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 blah. It is not a bad sign to have a new guy come in that we're all kind of iffy about, emerge as probably our best, I don't know about DB, but corner. McKinney also doing quite well out there. Only 1 pass breakup, but he's got a pick on there as well. I mean, Valentine, it's hard to argue. I mean, Valentine only 1 pass breakup, but the guy's got 2 picks. But either way, in general, you got McKinney looking good, you got Valentine looking good, you've got Hobbs looking real good. Considering this is our biggest concern, is our DBs on the back end, particularly corner, but just in general, the ability to cover. To have that as maybe our best unit through camp so far is not a terrible thing. Some other general highlights: Love in command, chemistry with Dobbs and Wicks. Golden showcasing a lot of speed, Dobbs' reliability, Wicks' separation, Josh Jacobs' leadership. Defense, McKinney, playmaker. He's got the pick, a pass breakup, and a scoop from an interception. Valentine is a ball hawk. It actually says 3 interceptions. I don't know if that's correct or not. I think it's 2. Van Ness with his pressures and sacks. Hobbs with a bunch of pass breakups. And even Bullard with his 1 pass breakup, as well as punching out a ball to create a fumble that was eventually recovered by somebody else. I think that was the one recovered by McKinney. So there we go. There's the 3 days so far. I think, well, why don't we take a break? When we come back, one of the things I want to discuss is, okay, so I set up my expectations for camp. Number 1, how's that going? Number 2, what would I really like to see moving forward? And we'll see where that leads us when we get back. So first of all, I mean, look, somebody's got to win, offense or defense, and like I said before, try to keep a positive disposition on this. That's always been a thing that's been difficult for me, is to just decide, should I be happy or upset? You know, if there's a pick, should I be mad at the quarterback or happy with the corner? Just take the positives, take the W's. With that said, I'd like to see the offense winning more. I think by the end of last season, the defense was clearly the better unit. I'm encouraged generally by what I've heard from Jordan Love. Very excited about the wide receivers as a whole, specifically Matthew Golden and some of the stuff that we're hearing about him. I would like to hear the offense beating the defense more consistently, especially scoring more touchdowns. There's not a ton of opportunities to be able to do all that stuff. It just seems like they're struggling a little bit. I guess what I want generally from the offense is to feel better about it than I did last year. I feel like right now, you know, there's a little bit about Golden that sounds good, but they're still primarily wanting to go to Dobbs and to Wicks. I feel like I've heard nothing about Jaden Reed so far. I don't know if I've heard a single note about Jaden Reed. Now that I think about it, I'm trying to think back. Has Reed caught a pass that's been noted? I can't remember. But I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of, you know, we're hearing about, Kraft is going to emerge, and I'm excited that Musgrave is back and what that can do to stretch out the defense. And, you know, Golden looks really good, and, you know, the receivers are not dropping as many. Like, this is all great. And I believe we have a good defense, so it's not as easy as just snap your fingers and dominate them. But I'm struggling to see it being applied in a way to where, you know, wow, this offense looks different. There's nothing that's really gotten me to turn the corner in that regard to believing that, and obviously it's very early. I get all that. I understand that. I'm telling you where I'm at and where I'd like to get to. Some level of, you know, Golden has changed things, or Tucker is different, or Musgrave is changing things, or, you know, the run game, which, again, you can't really do a ton of right now without the pads, but you know, the run blocking looks better than it did, or something. Otherwise, right now, I mean, as it stands today, if the season started right now, it would be Wicks, Dobbs, and Reed out on the field the majority of the time, with Golden coming in doing some stupid gadgety crap, and it would largely be the same offense. It would largely be the same offensive line, with the exception of having Banks, although he's injured right now, Banks as your left guard. Otherwise, it's the same offensive line, probably similar production from the offensive line, the same wide receivers, the same, you know what I mean? It's all the same stuff. So I'm hoping for them to take a step, and really what we've seen is, outside of day one, kind of kicking the crap out of defense from starting in the red zone, their ability to get down the field, like in 2 minutes, they've been getting the crap beat out of them by the defense, which, again, love to hear that from the defense, but we need the offense to get back to being dominant again. So hoping they can find their stride, and I'm hoping that guys like Golden can continue to take steps, that Jordan can continue to lean on him, that the coaches can continue to ask him to do more stuff as far as his ability to get down the field and all that kind of stuff. And, you know, you just start to see that grow and morph, and, you know, for him to become a little bit more of a problem, as opposed to, you know, he looks good, trust me. Offensive line in particular, I mean, I'm just going to keep saying it. I mean, look, best 5, whatever that is great, but and I know how this works, and I understand that, you know, you got to be patient and all that stuff. If you're a first or second round pick, I just have some higher expectations. Morgan struggling to grab a single position, and Belton not even playing football from what I can tell, is not my favorite development. For a team that does a very good job of identifying offensive line talent, and I understand there's a lot of guys that are hard to just rip the job away from them, but I want them to be good enough to where they're at least being given opportunities. Again, like we had a real rough go with Sean Ryan, and he eventually became a dude that's, I guess good enough, and that's cool. But, that very slow process with him, we're now seeing that with Morgan, where he didn't really play a ton last year, and then he slowly got acclimated and was put on the offensive line, and he wasn't super great, and then he got hurt, and we're coming back this year, and it's like, is he just going to start out there? And it's like, not really. He'll get rotated in a couple spots, usually guard. And it's like, well, what about Belton? Is he going to play guard? Is he going to play tackle? It's like, he's going to be a backup. And, comes in for 5 snaps or less to spell Zach Tom when he jumps off sides, and then he's pulled again. And I don't know what he's doing with the second team, and I don't know how much that even matters because I don't know. I feel like I'm falling into the position where, as much as I wanted this to be a big deal, where Morgan and Belton are going to be a really big part of improving this offensive line, the vibe that I'm getting from the way that the coaches are handling this is Belton is very far away and is not going to be starting this year, and Morgan is competing to be a right guard, but is not at the level where it's just automatic and we should expect him to be awesome. That doesn't mean in 2 to 3 years that these guys aren't going to be great football players, but I think my hope that very early on they're going to demonstrate how good they are. I haven't heard a single positive report, and I know it's difficult. It's easier to report a great catch than it is a great block. But those things do happen, and I don't really remember hearing a lot of reports. We'll see. The pads aren't on yet. When the pads come on, that's when things can change. And again, it's 3 days in so far, but I'm telling you where I'm at today, and I'm getting closer and closer to that point where I say, okay, I guess Belton's a red shirt and Morgan is a fingers crossed he isn't a liability, assuming he even starts, which I think he will, but I don't know that. If I had to guess right now, or let's put it this way, if the season were today, and assuming Elton Jenkins and all that's figured out, you'd have Rasheed Walker at left tackle, Banks at left guard, Elton at center, Morgan at right guard, and Zach Tom at right tackle. That would be my assumption on where the offensive line is today. And I would be concerned that Morgan is kind of gifted that spot because, number one, Sean Ryan is not necessarily an elite guard anyways, and number two, Morgan's a first-round pick. So they're going to trust in his upside and say, whatever his flaws are, we'll work on that through the season, but we need him to be getting the reps because we know his upside can be a very good football player, and we're hoping that through the season he can become that. Again, that's where I'm at right this second. I'd like that perception to change over the course of training camp. I'd like to do a recap next time and say, well, actually, now I think this. And it's something different and something along the lines of, I'm very optimistic, not just for Morgan, but Belton. Wide receivers generally, I don't have a lot for any of the wide receivers outside of Golden. Mecole Hardman is an interesting development, and I'm hopeful that he can continue doing a really good job because, anytime you have an X factor, you hope for the best. I feel like I'm pretty well entrenched with Wicks, Dobbs, and Reed in that they kind of are what they are. There's a range where they could get better, they could get worse. My hope is, though, they're basically the same guys, just do a much better job with the drops, and through that become better. But I don't have a huge amount of optimism that they're going to go from what they've been for however many years they've been here, which has been pretty consistent, to emerging as this massive thing. My hope is they can start catching more than dropping, and then Golden comes through and elevates the whole group. So really, my focus for the wide receivers is on Golden and on a lack of drops from everybody else, and chemistry with the quarterback, all that stuff. Same with the tight ends, although with Musgrave, I need to hear something about Musgrave. Because right now, it's just, what the heck is the guy's name? Oh, I had it, and it's gone. Sternberger. Right now, it reminds me of a Sternberger situation where I liked Sternberger, and I kept being hopeful that Sternberger would become something, and it just never materialized into anything ever, and then he was just one day gone. we can keep talking about the injuries and we can keep talking about the athleticism that he has and the potential that he could have and the things that we could do in the offense with a guy like that. But at the end of the day, if none of that ever becomes a thing on the football field, and he, just like Jaden Reed, is another guy, I can't think of a single completion so far to, now I can't get Sternberger out of my head, to Musgrave. Doesn't mean there hasn't been one, but outside of like individual drills where it's, just the tight ends running and the quarterback's throwing to them, I'm talking in team drills, 7-on-7, 11-on-11, I don't know of anything happening. I know there's been a bunch of talk of Crafts. I haven't heard a single note in team so far about Musgrave. And maybe that's just a chemistry thing that has to get back to, whatever has to happen, it has to start happening. Because again, as much as I want it desperately to be a thing, at the end of the day, in a very short period of time, if things don't change, he's just going to be off the team. Defensive side, as far as the defensive line is concerned, I'd just like to hear basically anything. I'm happy with Lucas Van Ness, very happy with that. Baron Sorrell, again, kind of being the number 2 guy has made me a little bit excited. Again, without the pads on, it's kind of iffy, but the biggest one I'm drawing a big circle around is Rashawn Gary. Rashawn Gary last year wasn't great. The change of scheme, all that stuff, whatever, and then he slowly got better. But no matter what, Rashawn needs to be that kind of blue chip guy. And I need to start hearing that he's whooping up on people. Now, granted, he's probably spending a lot of time against Zach Tom, and that's a tough matchup, and not consistently whooping Zach Tom is actually probably to our benefit. But he needs to win sometimes. And if he's not winning, then he needs to move to the other side and be able to beat Rasheed Walker, or he needs to be able to move inside and beat the guys inside with an occasional win against Zach Tom. Hearing an occasional note about, wow, that was a nice play against the run, but not having a single note about him winning as a pass rusher. Again, if this was TJ Watt or Myles Garrett, I can't imagine he wouldn't have made a play so far. Maybe not, I don't know. But the point is, if you're going to get to the level that we all expect you to be at, I should hear your name in training camp at some point. I will basically give a pass to pretty much everybody that their job involves contact, linebacker, defensive line, offensive line, running back. I'll give you all a pass until the pads come on, but just so you know, that is a note in the back of my head that I have not really heard Rashawn Gary's name once. That also goes for Devontae Wyatt, who is a guy that I'm very excited about as a pass rusher. I need to hear your name as a pass rusher. I don't think I've heard a single note about a defensive tackle so far. Again, the pads aren't on. I get that. But we're not really talking about run defense here. I'm talking about your ability to get past the guy in front of you. That's still something you should be working on. Kenny, I don't want to say I've given up on him, but it would be nice to hear something from Kenny. Brooks and Wooden, again, Be nice to hear from him, but But Wyatt, I like Wyatt. I'm a fan of Wyatt. I think he's a great pass rusher, or at least I think he's a good pass rusher with great pass rush upside. I don't need you going backwards. I need you going forward. And I'd love to hear, again, I just want to hear something. I've never heard the coaches even talk positively about Wyatt. It would be great to hear, man, he's taken big strides or big steps, or things have really gone in a great direction for Wyatt. He's transformed his body. He's really gained control of the playbook and all. There's nothing. And I hope he's doing everything he can to become the guy that he can be. Again, it's early, but this is where I'm at right now. This is where my mind's at. These are just little notes in the back of my head, so that if I don't hear these things after the next 3 practices and we come back here again and I still haven't heard Rashawn's name or Kenny's name or Wyatt's name or Brooks' name or Wooden's name, it's not that I'm necessarily concerned that, oh no, Rashawn's going to be terrible, but my thought that he is going to get back to what he was when he was at his prime, probably not. And he's going to be good, not great. Because remember, in those years when Rashawn was dominant, back when it was him and, when he was kind of buried behind Za'Darius and Preston, he absolutely dominated training camp. He was dominating David Bakhtiari. So I need that guy. Corners across the board, I kind of have no complaints. I mean, the report on Nixon is that he's basically given up nothing. Hobbs is breaking up passes like crazy. Valentine's got 2 picks in 3 days. McKinney's done a little bit of everything, pass breakups, interceptions, fumble recoveries. It would be nice to hear a little bit more about Williams, although not hearing anything sometimes, depending on your position, can be just as good as hearing things. I haven't heard him give up a single completion, because they always talk about somebody caught a pass on this person. I don't think anyone's been... I haven't heard about him getting targeted. It's possible, and I missed it. I could go back and ask the robot to go through all my transcripts and everything, but I'm not going to. And so if all he's doing out there is a great job of, doing his job and making sure that there's nowhere to throw in his area, he's doing a fantastic job. It's the only real drawback of being very good at your job is that you're not going to get any interceptions or pass breakups. Your stats are going to suck because nobody throws at you. Well, he only had 3 interceptions on the season. Yeah, maybe because nobody ever threw in his direction. Just a thought. Linebackers, Isaiah Simmons has been a bit of a revelation. And again, that's kind of what I'm talking about in terms of hearing things. I don't know how good Isaiah Simmons is doing. I don't know what they actually think of Simmons. I don't know what his actual chances of making the team, making an impact. I mean, he's going to be on the team, but making an impact, I don't know any of that stuff. But we get clues, and it has been a constant inundation from coaches, from players, from reporters, from every conceivable angle, and as well as where he is on the depth chart. He's immediately going with the ones. I mean, it's in the absence of Quay. That'll be the really interesting thing is when Quay comes back, is Simmons going to encroach on that spot that McDuffie holds? That'll be an even bigger tell. But, I mean, that's kind of what I mean about hearing reports about things. Compare that to Devontae Wyatt, where his name has not come up once, not from reporters, not from coaches, not from players, nothing. Just a notable contrast, that's all. But, I mean, yeah, he's been a bit of a revelation. Again, I'm always hoping for Tyron Hopper, not only because I didn't like him coming out of college as much, but it was more of I was intrigued by him, and I thought he did a good job last year, as well as you're a third-round pick, so my expectations should be somewhat higher. Yeah, I mean, I'm rooting for Tyron Hopper to kind of emerge. It seems a little bit like he's kind of buried right now. Again, I don't even know if Simmons is going to be able to compete with McDuffie when Quay Walker comes back. And so the odds of Tyron Hopper kind of doing anything go down. But I guess I'm content with everything right now. I mean, there's been limited but solid reports about Edgerrin Cooper, who's the big one here, him remaining kind of that blue chip linebacker that he shockingly was last year as a linebacker, as a rookie. That's kind of number one. The unit as a whole is kind of number two. And I think it's largely established. It's just kind of a question of, that third linebacker. I mean, I am rooting against McDuffie, if only because I want things upgraded. And if you assume somebody, if it's Isaiah Simmons or Tyron Hopper, presumably that means you take McDuffie and you assume it's better. And that's better is always a good thing. So I'm kind of always rooting for guys to get replaced for that reason, unfortunately. Otherwise, yeah, special teams just kind of stay perfect. I know you can't, but as best as you can, try to stay perfect. I haven't heard any mistakes about punting or snapping or holding, and the kicking obviously has been actually perfect. The returning has been a bit of a problem, but again, we need to stop. I know you're trying stuff, and that's fine, but at the end of the day, I mean, it's Mecole Hardman and Keyshawn Nixon, and that's what it is. And if you want to grant Keyshawn his request of never doing that stuff again so you can just be a corner, let's see what Mecole can do. Maybe he can be that dude on kick and punt return. I don't know. Try it out. I'm not opposed to trying stuff, but Matthew Golden shouldn't be doing it. Reed shouldn't be doing it. Some of these guys, go get a running back and see, somebody that doesn't have a great chance of get Bo Melton out there, see what he can do. Get some of these 4th and 5th running backs. But I think I covered all of it, right? Safety, corner, linebacker, defensive tackle, edge. Oh, running back, I don't think I talked about. I don't have a ton. I'm kind of just keeping an eye on the Marshawn Lloyd situation, him staying healthy, and hoping to hear positive reports, just like everything else. He's a guy that we don't know anything about, and usually when guys are really good, there's reports of, holy crap, something special is happening here, kind of thing. So you're kind of just sitting back waiting for those types of reports, and so far it has been good. It hasn't been great, but it's been good, especially in the early unpadded period of time where you're probably not going to get a ton of that. Or maybe you get more because, there's less actual stopping people from running. But just kind of waiting and watching. I feel like we know what Josh Jacobs is, which is a good thing. Just kind of watching and hoping that, Lloyd can contribute to that group in a hopefully very positive way. But I guess that's kind of where I'm at. Let's take a break. We'll be right back. All right, two main goals for Part 3. The Packers signed a couple players. But first, let's go through the 25th and 26th, if there is anything, training camp news around the NFC North. The Bears' offense continues to suck. Defense under coordinator Dennis Allen dominated red zone drills against first-team offense, forcing multiple incompletions and turnovers. Caleb Williams and the offense had a choppy start, but finished stronger. However, struggles in red zone work raised early concerns, with offensive coordinator Declan Doyle emphasizing it's not yet a worry. That's such a comforting... I'm not worried yet. It's going to take some time before I panic. Rookie wide receiver Luther Burden still sidelined. As for the Lions, Aiden Hutchinson apparently back and is showing early domination, showing full recovery from his prior leg injury, extinguishing doubts with explosive play. Montgomery, Jared Goff, Sam Laporta also looking really good so far in training camp. Practices have been very intense. There have been a lot of fighting and all that kind of stuff. Minnesota Vikings, days 2 and 3, lighter sessions combining walkthroughs and practice. Team is still in the acclimation phase. Pads are going to start Monday. Defense, similarly dominating overall so far in the offseason as expected early in camp. Standout plays from first-team unit include interception by Harrison Smith. I think we talked about that against J.J. McCarthy. McCarthy off to a little bit of a slow start. There's been some ups and downs, but probably not as dominant as Vikings fans were kind of hoping. Session was pretty low-key, about 90 minutes at half-speed tempo to end the acclimation period. So things are going to start to ramp up a little bit now in the second week. Teams are going to start putting the pads on, and we'll get a little bit better evaluation of all these things. But so far, it's all pretty positive. I'm generally happy with where the Packers are at and all the pieces there. Caleb has looked worse than I thought. McCarthy has been so-so. I think it's kind of one of those things where Vikings fans would tell you he looks really good. There are plenty of reports that at least temper that a little bit, to the point where I'm not hyperventilating about, holy crap, this guy's just tearing up camp. Packers officially announced their claim of running back Israel Abanikanda. I mentioned that today we would go a little bit over who that guy is. So, starting with Israel Abanikanda, Packers again announced that they signed him off waivers. He had spent 2 years with the Jets, although he was, I believe, most recently with the 49ers. But he was a running back for Pittsburgh, 5'11", 215, so he's kind of in that mold of what the Packers like. His final season was 2022. He had 1,400 yards, 5.9 yards per attempt, 20 touchdowns, 91 rushing grade, 46 missed tackles forced, 2.71 yards after contact. Getting over to the NFL, he has not done a ton of regular season work. He did a little bit in his rookie season of 2023, weeks 11, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. He had 25 snaps, 22 rushing attempts for 70 yards, which is just 3.2 yards per attempt, 59 overall grade, 66 rushing grade. If you so the following season, he didn't do anything, although in the preseason, he did quite well. 2023, he had a 73 grade, 71 rushing, 25 attempts, 113 yards, 4.5 yards per attempt, a touchdown, and a fumble. 2024 in the preseason, he had 21 attempts, 129 yards, 6.1 yards per attempt, 2 touchdowns, no fumbles, 90 grade, 90 rushing grade. He had 5.1 yards per attempt after contact and 12 missed tackles forced. So, do I have massive hopes? No. Our running back room is already overly crowded. He's kind of fighting for a practice squad spot, in my opinion. It's also not a great sign that a 5th-round pick didn't last more than 2 years on the team that drafted him and went to another team that cut him very shortly after bringing him on and is now here. Doesn't mean something cool can't happen, But, it's just kind of a let's see what we can do with this guy while he's here kind of situation. I'm going to maintain very low expectations until something changes that. Another signing for the Green Bay Packers. They signed cornerback Garnett Hollis Jr. He went undrafted out of West Virginia, originally picked up by the Tennessee Titans. He spent 3 years at Northwestern before his final year there at West Virginia. Of the 4 years, he started only the last 2, which would be his final year at Northwestern and then 1 year at West Virginia. His final year at Northwestern was actually pretty decent, which is probably why it's like, I had this big breakout thing. Now I'm going to transfer and go somewhere else, whatever. But it was a 73 overall grade, 86 run defense, 71 coverage. He did have a pretty high missed tackle rate. His tackling was not fantastic. He missed 10 tackles, which is 17.2%. He gave up 22 receptions on 38 targets for 260 yards. He gave up 2 touchdowns, had 1 pick, 7 pass breakups, 85.4 passer rating when targeted. Transfers to West Virginia, and it did not go well. He didn't have a single game at 70 or higher. His best was the bowl game against Memphis. He had a 68 grade. His highest coverage grade was in that game. It was a 68. His overall grading and stats, 53 PFF grade at West Virginia, 59 tackling, 49 coverage. He had, again, 8 missed tackles, which was 16% missed tackle rate, 54 targets, 31 receptions, 630 yards given up, which is 20.3 yards per reception, 238 yards after the catch, which is wild. His longest reception given up was 80 yards. He gave up 5 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, 4 pass breakups. He had a 129.4 passer rating when targeted. I'm not sure what the Packers liked about him in college to want to take a flyer on him. I have no idea. These are pretty atrocious numbers. He must have some great measurables or something. But, the Packers need some help at corner. They're going to give this guy a shot. Again, I don't have a ton of hope for either. Kind of interested to see what Abanikanda can do. I mean, again, he was a 5th-round pick, did some good stuff in college, did some good stuff in the preseason for the Jets in the pros. But again, I don't have massively high hopes for either of these two guys, but they're here now. Crazier things have happened, and we will see how it goes. There's a bunch of other stuff going on, a lot of narratives out there. There's still the quarterback thing going on, ranking quarterbacks. That's still kind of a popular topic. But one of the other popular topics that continues to emerge are who are the actual Super Bowl contenders. I kind of wanted to go over that today, but as you can see, we're kind of running low on time, so I'll save that for maybe on our next break or whatever. But a lot of varying opinions. Some are higher on the Packers than others. Obviously, mixed in are going to be some really awful takes that upset me, and that's what we're going to hone in on. But again, we will save that for another day. Again, I'm pretty sure we got 3 more days of practice coming for so that'd be Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. So tomorrow we should be right back after it, doing more training camp updates. So I will talk to you then. In the meantime, have yourself a fantastic day. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.